Because of his outstanding carpentry skills, he was invited onto the yacht to build a shoe cabinet.
You're the carpenter?
Yeah, Dean Proffitt.
You're late.
Standing before him was a woman of wealth and elegance, the owner of the yacht. On the way to the walk-in closet, she arrogantly warned the carpenter not to touch anything, saying that everything in sight was far beyond what he could afford to replace if rich. As she spoke, Joanna sprayed 2 pumps of perfume toward him with visible disdain. Having now witnessed Joanna's overbearing personality, all he wanted was to finish the job as quickly as possible. The determination to leave sparked his potential. What was supposed to take 2 days to finish, he forced himself to complete in just 1. But instead of being impressed by the clever design, Joanna dismissed it as flashy and impractical. Not only that, she looked down on him and questioned why he used cheap oak instead of expensive cedar, without giving him any chance to explain, and demanded a remake in a tone that allowed no refusal. Finally, unable to tolerate the attack on his professionalism, Dean snapped. To Joanna,
Pay me the money you owe me.
Job was not done to my satisfaction.
Oh, I got news for you, lady. No job will ever be done to your satisfaction.
Well, that's quite enough. Now just get out.
Hey, no problem. Just pay me the $600 you owe me and I'm gone.
Captain Carl, start up the engine.
the payment meant nothing, but she was determined not to pay him, simply to punish him for defying her. Sensing this, Dean's long-held frustration exploded, and he refused to stay silent any longer, shouting his grievances and listing every unpleasant trait she had, from her arrogance to her harshness. The crew stood quietly and listened. Their hearts stirred with silent agreement, and one by one, they broke into applause in support of Dean. This scene made it clear that Joanna's behavior on the yacht had long since cost her the support of everyone around her. Humiliated and furious, she felt the yacht begin to move, and in a fit of rage, she shoved Dean overboard. Not only did Dean walk away unpaid, but all his tools were ruined by the seawater. A devastating loss for a single father raising 4 children. After borrowing money from friends, he swore that if he ever saw that woman again, he would make her pay dearly. That very night, as if the heavens had heard his anger, something happened to Joanna. While walking on the deck, she dropped her ring into a seat cushion, and just as she reached to retrieve it, the boat rocked violently, and she fell overboard. Watching the yacht fade into the distance, her vision grew blurry. The next day, in a town 80 kilometers away from the incident, local news reported that fishermen had found an unconscious woman by the dock, and though she was out of danger after treatment, she had lost all memory due to hitting her head on a reef. Grant, the yacht manager, saw the news on TV and rushed to the hospital, but after confirming Joanna had amnesia, he denied knowing her.
Is that her?
I demand you do something. Do you hear me?
No, I never saw her before in my life.
His behavior was understandable. Since Joanna had lost her memory, why invite trouble by taking her back? Their job was to manage the yacht, not take care of her personal life. And so Joanna became an unclaimed Jane Doe, with her story replayed daily on the news. Coincidentally, Dean lived in that very town. Seeing the report, he felt she had gotten what she deserved and came up with a bold idea. If she couldn't recognize him, why not claim her and have her work off the damages? Ignoring his friend's objections, he rehearsed his story and went to the hospital.
Stop! I don't...
A private detail. When Joanna got into the beat-up pickup truck and traveled the winding forest roads that ended in a rundown wooden house, though she had lost her memory, a lifetime of luxury was already etched deep into her bones. Faced with this shabby house, Joanna instinctively resisted and grew suspicious. But under Dean's insistence, she reluctantly followed him inside.
Charlie tried to kill my
Home!
Hi, Mom! Hi, Mom! We're so glad you're...
Reality. Besides, the doctor had said that being surrounded by familiar things might help restore it. Eventually, the once pampered heiress couldn't take it anymore. It wasn't just the physical exhaustion. It was the crushing despair of realizing that all this effort didn't bring her any closer to recovering her memory. The longer her amnesia lasted, the more Joanna began to doubt her identity. Dean quickly tried to fix the situation. "We just moved," he explained. "A lot of our things haven't been brought over yet." His nervous fiddling with his vest suddenly triggered something in Joanna's mind.
The closet. And you. Something's familiar.
Luckily, her memory was still patchy. So instead of exposing him, the flicker of recognition made her even more convinced Dean was her husband. How else could she explain seeing his image to believe it? From that day forward, Joanna began to truly embrace the role of wife and mother. However, as she became more involved, things started to spiral beyond Dean's control. She began supervising the kids' homework seriously, correcting their bad habits, and even redistributed the household chores, insisting that Dean pull his weight too. Life was no longer as carefree as before, but Dean and the kids began to feel something they hadn't felt in a long time: the warmth of a real home. At first, Dean didn't think it was a big deal, until one day, while picking the kids up from school, he overheard Joanna arguing with a teacher about their education. The teacher had made some condescending remarks about the children's intelligence, and Joanna fiercely fought back with sharp, eloquent words. Dean smiled as he listened.
And my children may be rotten, but they're mine. And I think that they're bright and sensitive, so I have no doubts whatsoever about their intelligence. I do, however, have serious doubts about yours.
But her tone and manner made his stomach tighten with dread. She had fully stepped into the role of the lady of the house. And that was what Dean feared most. Joanna's memory would return eventually. When that day came, what would he do? After spending so much time together, the anger in Dean's heart had long since faded, replaced by a growing sense of guilt. While his mind raced with how to confess, his actions began to show his remorse. He started caring about Joanna's feelings, trying to be a better husband. Neither of them realized that, through these days spent together, the seeds of love had quietly begun to sprout. Truth. Worse still, Dean came to a terrifying realization. He might have fallen in love with her. That truth finally pushed him to make a decision. One quiet evening, he prepared to tell her everything.
I already know.
You do? What? What do you know?
That you work nights at the fertilizer plant. Is that it?
Well, that's one of the things, but no, not really.
Joanna's pressing questions made Dean glance back at the kids, who were secretly eavesdropping nearby, and the courage he had just built up instantly faded away.
I forgot your birthday.
Suddenly, Dean realized, if Joanna learned the truth and left in anger, it might only take him some time to adjust. But what about the kids? They had already accepted Joanna as their real mother, and her presence had become irreplaceable in their hearts. Later that night, they celebrated a birthday at the town's, but the next day, an unexpected twist arrived. As the six of them returned home from the amusement park, they saw a luxury car parked at their door. Grant had arrived. It turned out Joanna's mother had grown suspicious after failing to reach her daughter and decided to check on her in person. Grant, usually drunk and fearful of being exposed, had no choice but to come and take Joanna back.
Hi, Grant. I just have to put these in some water.
At the sight of him, Joanna instinctively called out his name. Realizing what this meant, Dean's heart sank, and Joanna's memory began flooding back. Now reminded of her wealthy identity, Joanna, who had recently been struggling to make ends meet, was overjoyed and threw herself into Dean's arms.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing me here and making me a wife and a mother. And why did you do that? Why? You're that sweaty carpenter who hates me.
She looked at the four children once more, her gaze filled with mixed emotions, then rushed into the house to pack. But as her eyes scanned the room, she suddenly realized that there wasn't a single thing in this house that truly belonged to her. Amid Dean's guilty expression and the kids' tearful pleas, Joanna still got into the luxury car and left. Sitting inside, she fought back tears, refusing to let them fall. The children had fully adapted to life with Joanna and unknowingly embraced her as their mother. Faced with her departure, they all wanted to stop her, but only Dean knew a cruel truth. Even setting aside whether Joanna wanted to come back or not, just trying to chase down a yacht with a fishing boat was already completely impossible.
She's gone, guys. She hates me.
Though Dean spoke as if he had given up, the way he rushed out the door revealed the panic raging inside him. Meanwhile, aboard the grand, opulent yacht, Joanna had shed her plain clothes and changed into a priceless designer gown. She leaned against the railing, staring at the distant dock as it slowly faded from view, her eyes filled with sorrow and confusion. Was she saying goodbye to the past, or hesitating about the future? Even though the town life was rough and far from the comforts she once had, it had quietly stolen her heart. She had fallen in love with the fulfillment found in ordinary moments, with those 4 innocent, mischievous kids, and most of all, with the carpenter who once hated her. Joanna herself hadn't realized it. But in less than a month, the simple life in the small town had transformed.
Oh, no, madam. Oh, no. See life from an entirely new perspective. How you choose to use that information, madam.
Andrew's words echoed in her mind for a long time, lingering even through the night, impossible to shake off. At last, as if she had made up her mind, she quietly made her way to the yacht's control room, careful not to wake her mother. By sunrise, Grant noticed something was wrong. They weren't heading in the correct direction. Alarmed, he immediately called Joanna's mother. Following Edith's orders, Grant took over control of the yacht. Meanwhile, on the other side, Dean had come up with a way to catch up to the yacht by faking a man overboard emergency and calling for a harbor rescue. When Joanna noticed the yacht turning again, she stormed into the cockpit to confront Grant. But he was acting on Edith's instructions and refused to hand over the helm. With no other options, Joanna headed to the engine room, and unsure how to disable the power system, she simply pressed a red button she found.
A life jacket.
By a twist of fate, the wealthy woman fell from her lofty perch, shedding her luxurious exterior and beginning to feel the warmth of an ordinary life. And the carpenter's act of revenge quietly transformed, day by day, into tenderness and affection. This dramatic encounter became a soul-to-soul exchange, where 2 completely different people found healing and redemption in each other's world. Life's unexpected twists often lead to growth, and those unplanned moments of warmth eventually dissolve misunderstandings and open the door for love to bloom.